They exiled me on the first snow of winter. No trial, no defense. Just the Alpha's cold voice and the Council's unanimous vote. Kira Ashbourne, you are hereby banished from the Shadowpine Pack for the crime of weakness. You have 1 hour to gather your belongings and leave Pack territory. If you are found within our borders after sunset, you will be killed on sight. Weakness. That was my crime. I was an Omega who couldn't fight, couldn't hunt, couldn't contribute to the Pack's strength in any measurable way. In a territory surrounded by enemies, where every wolf needed to pull their weight, I was dead weight, a liability. So they cast me out. I built a shelter in the unclaimed lands just beyond the border, close enough to smell the pack fires at night, far enough that the patrols wouldn't bother hunting me down. Well, I survived on scraps and stubbornness, and I told myself I didn't care, that I didn't miss the warmth of pack bonds, that I was better off alone. I told myself these lies for 6 months. Then the rogues came. Chapter 1. The attack. The first scream cut through the winter morning like a blade. High, terrified. A child's scream. I was checking my snares when I heard it, half a mile into pack territory, near the frozen creek where cubs sometimes played despite their mother's warnings. My first instinct was to ignore it. Not my pack, not my problem. They'd made that very clear when they threw me out. But then the scream came again, closer, more desperate. And underneath it, growls, multiple wolves. The particular snarling that came from rogues who'd lost their humanity along with their pack bonds. I was running before I made a conscious decision. Through the trees, over frozen ground, my breath misting in the cold air, my wolf surging forward even though I had no right to be here, even though crossing into pack territory could get me killed. A cub was screaming. Nothing else mattered. I burst through the tree line into a small clearing, and froze. 5 rogues, massive, scarred, moving with the coordinated precision of wolves who'd hunted together for years. They'd surrounded a fallen tree where a small dark-haired cub, maybe 4 years old, was pressed against the hollow trunk, screaming for help that wasn't coming. Where were the patrols? Where were the guards? Where was anyone? Then I saw the tracks in the snow, leading away from the clearing, running, fleeing. Someone had been here. Someone had heard the attack starting and ran, left a cub alone to die. The largest rogue lunged toward the hollow log. I shifted mid-run and slammed into him at full speed. We hit the ground in a tangle of claws and teeth. He was bigger, stronger, better fed. But I had desperation and 3 months of bitter anger fueling every movement. I tore at his throat, felt him buck beneath me, felt the other 4 rogues turn their attention from the cub to me. Good. Look at me. Focus on me. I let the big rogue throw me off, rolled to my feet, positioned myself directly between the rogues and the hollow log, between them and the cub. They circled me slowly. 5 against 1. Professional. Patient. Already planning how to tear me apart. The cub had gone silent. I could hear tiny, terrified breathing from the hollow. He could smell fear so sharp it made my wolf whine. Stay down, I thought fiercely. Stay hidden. Stay quiet. I've got you. The rogues attacked. Not all at once. That would have been easier to defend against. They came in waves, testing me, probing for weakness, looking for the moment I'd break, the moment I'd run. I held the line. The first one lunged low, going for my legs. I twisted, felt teeth scrape bone. Pain exploded white-hot through my calf, but I stayed upright. Snapped at his ear. Drew blood. He backed off, circled. The second came from the right. Claws raked across my shoulder, opening flesh to the bone. I felt muscle tear, felt hot blood pour down my side, steaming in the cold air. I didn't move from my spot. The third rogue feinted left, then body slammed me into a tree. I heard ribs crack, felt the air leave my lungs in a painful rush. The impact should have dropped me. I pushed off the tree, stayed between them and the hollow, didn't let them get past me, didn't let them reach the cub. Blood splashed across white snow in stark red patterns. Most of it mine. Too much of it mine. I could feel myself weakening, could feel my wolf form struggling to hold together. But behind me, the cub had gone silent, hiding like I'd told him to. "Stay quiet, little one. Stay down. I've got you." The rogues were toying with me now. They'd figured out I couldn't actually win this fight. Letting me exhaust myself, letting pain and blood loss do their work. The big one, the leader, circled behind me, moving into position for a killing blow. This was it. The end. I'd held them off as long as I could. But maybe it was enough. Maybe someone heard the fighting. Maybe help was coming. Please, I thought desperately. Please let him be safe. That's all that matters. The big rogue tensed, preparing to lunge. I shifted to human form, grabbed a fallen branch thick as my arm. The movement tore at my broken ribs, sent agony shooting through my side. I ignored it. He leaped. I swung the branch with everything I had left, with all the rage of 6 months alone, with all the desperate need to protect this cub, with all the strength of a wolf who'd been called weak her whole life and refused to accept it. The branch connected with his skull with a crack that echoed through the forest. He went down hard, twitching, unconscious or dead. The other 4 paused, reassessed. Then they rushed me together. I shifted back to wolf, met them head on. Just felt teeth close on my throat, claws shred my side, felt myself going down. Not yet, I thought desperately. Not yet. The cub. I have to. A roar split the morning. Not a rogue's snarl. Not a wolf's howl. An alpha's command. The rogues scattered, ran, disappeared into the forest like smoke. I collapsed in the snow. Everything hurt. Everything was bleeding. I couldn't tell if I was still in wolf form or human. Couldn't tell which way was up. But the cub was safe. The cub is safe. That was my last thought before the darkness took me. Want to know who the cub is? Want to know why patrols abandoned their post? Want to discover why a banished Omega just sacrificed everything for a pack that threw her away? Stay with me, because when she wakes up, or the truth is going to destroy everything. Chapter 2. The Recognition. I woke to warmth, not the bitter cold of unclaimed lands, not the drafty chill of my pathetic shelter. Real warmth. A fire, furs, walls that held heat. I tried to sit up. My body screamed in protest. "Don't move!" The voice was deep, male, absolutely commanding. I turned my head carefully. Alpha Tobias Shadowpine sat in a chair beside my bed. The most powerful wolf in 3 territories. The man who'd exiled me 6 months ago. He looked like he'd aged years in 6 months. "You're awake," he said quietly. "The healers weren't sure you would be." "Where?" My voice came out as a rasp. "Where's the cub?" "Safe. Because of you." His eyes were unreadable. "Do you know who you saved?" "A cub. And that's all that mattered." "My son." His voice cracked. "You saved my son. My heir. Prince Matthias." The world tilted. The cub I'd defended was the Alpha's son. The future of the pack. The most important wolf in the entire territory. "Where were the guards?" I asked. "Where were the patrols? Why was he alone?" Tobias's jaw tightened. The patrol was there. 5 of our best warriors. They heard the rogues coming. They grabbed Matthias and ran. Tried to get him to safety. Tried? He slipped away from them. Ran back to the creek to get his toy, a carved wolf his mother made before she died. Tobias's hands fisted. By the time they realized he was gone, the rogues had already surrounded him. "So they left him." The words tasted like ash. 5 warriors against 5 rogues, and they left him. They went for reinforcements. That's what they claim. His eyes were hard. They say they were going to circle back, save him with better numbers. He'd have been dead before they got back. I know. He stood, paced to the window. You want to know the worst part? They radioed for help, told everyone to evacuate the area, said there was a massive rogue pack, 15, maybe 20 wolves, too dangerous to engage. There were 5. I know. He turned to face me. They lied, exaggerated the threat, made sure no one would come, because they were scared, because saving the air meant risking their own lives. He crossed back to me. But you came. A banished Omega with no weapons, no backup, no reason to risk yourself. You came anyway. He was screaming. I met his eyes. What else was I supposed to do? Run. Like they did. Like any sensible wolf would have. His voice was rough. But you stood your ground against 5 rogues, and you held them off long enough for me to get there. I stopped, swallowed. Is Matthias okay? Did they hurt him? Not a scratch, because you put yourself between him and them, because you took every blow, every wound, His voice broke. He knelt beside the bed, took my hand. The touch sent electricity through my entire body. Mate bond. We both froze. No, I breathed. We can't. I felt it. His eyes were wide, shocked. The moment I saw you in that clearing, covered in blood, barely breathing, I felt the bond snap into place. You can't be my mate. You're the Alpha. You exiled me. I made the biggest mistake of my life. His grip on my hand tightened. Kira, I was wrong. The Council was wrong. The Pack was wrong. You're not weak. You're the strongest wolf I've ever met. I couldn't fight, couldn't hunt, You fought 5 rogues alone and survived. You hunted hope in a wilderness that should have killed you. You couldn't contribute to Pack strength. He laughed bitterly. You just saved the future of the Pack. The heir. My son. He pressed my hand to his chest. His heart was racing beneath my palm. When I saw you in that clearing, he said quietly, covered in blood, barely breathing, standing over my son like a guardian wolf from the old stories. The mate bond hit me like lightning, instant, undeniable. I knew, and I realized what I'd done, what I'd thrown away. Tears burned my eyes. Why are you saying this? Why now? Because I'm trying to apologize. Because I'm trying to explain that I was a fool. Because I need you to understand. His voice broke. I've been alone since my mate died. Matthias's mother. She died in childbirth 4 years ago, and I swore I'd never bond again. Never risk that pain again. So I closed myself off, became cold, focused only on strength and power and control. He looked at me with desperate eyes, and when you couldn't fight, couldn't hunt, couldn't contribute in the ways I valued, I projected my fear onto you. I called you weak because I was afraid of anything that didn't fit my narrow definition of strength, afraid of vulnerability, afraid of... He stopped, swallowed hard, afraid of what it would mean to care about someone who wasn't invincible. You voted for my exile. I know. You called me weak. I know. You told me I was a liability, that I had nothing to offer, that I was... My voice broke. That I was worthless. And I was wrong. About all of it. A tear tracked down his cheek. I was a coward, Kira. I sent you away because you reminded me that strength isn't just about claws and teeth. That there are different kinds of courage. Different ways to contribute. And I couldn't face that. Couldn't face my own weakness. He took both my hands. And you left. And you survived. And when my son needed help, when 5 warriors ran and lied and chose their own lives over their duty, you came. You stood your ground. You proved everything I believed was wrong. I couldn't speak past the lump in my throat. I just heard him screaming. I know, and that's the point. Tobias's eyes were fierce. You didn't calculate odds, didn't weigh benefit against risk, didn't think about what you'd get in return. You just heard a cub in danger and ran toward it. That's real strength. That's what makes a wolf valuable. Not combat skills, not hunting prowess. That. I know. His eyes were wet, and I was wrong. About all of it. And I will spend the rest of my life proving that to you, if you'll let me. The door burst open. A small, dark-haired boy ran in. Prince Matthias, the cub I'd defended. He scrambled onto the bed and threw his arms around my neck. "You're awake!" His voice was bright with relief. "Papa said you were really hurt, but you'd be okay. And I've been waiting and waiting and—" "Matthias," Tobias said gently. "Careful. Kira's still healing. I know." The cub pulled back slightly, looked at me with serious golden eyes. "Thank you for saving me. Papa said you fought the bad wolves, that you got hurt protecting me. You're welcome, little one. Papa says you're my hero. He says you're the bravest wolf in the whole territory." He paused. "He also says you're his mate. Does that mean you'll be my mama?" The question hung in the air. I looked at Tobias, at the hope and fear warring in his eyes. "I don't know," I said honestly. "It's complicated." "But you saved me," Matthias said. "That means you love me, right?" My heart broke. "Of course I love you, but love and family are different from—" "Papa says mates are family. He says the moon chose you for him. For us." The cub's eyes were pleading. "Please stay. Please be my mama. I'll be good. I promise." "Matthias," Tobias's voice was gentle. "Let Kira rest. This is a lot to process." The cub hugged me one more time and left. Tobias and I were alone again. "I can't just—" I gestured helplessly. "You exiled me. The pack voted me out. They called me weak. They left your son to die rather than risk themselves. And you think I can just come back? Just accept this?" "No." He sat on the edge of the bed. "I think it will take time. I think you have every right to be angry, to hate me, to reject the bond and walk away." He met my eyes. "But I'm asking anyway. I'm asking you to give me a chance to make this right, to prove that I see you now, that I value you, that you belong here. Why should I trust you? Because I'm going to change the pack, starting now." His voice was iron. "Those guards who abandoned Matthias, exiled. The council members who voted for your banishment, removed. Every wolf who treated you as worthless, they're going to learn what real strength looks like. You can't restructure an entire pack because of me. I can. I will." He leaned closer. "But more than that, I'm going to make sure every wolf in this territory knows what you did. How you saved my son. How you're the reason the Shadowpine bloodline survives. How you're a hero. I don't need to be a hero. I just need—" I stopped. "I need to not be alone anymore. I need to matter to someone. I need to feel like I belong somewhere. You belong here." He pressed his forehead to mine. "With me, with Matthias, with a pack that's going to learn to deserve you." The mate bond sang between us, but I wasn't ready. Not yet. "I need time," I said quietly. "To heal, to think, to decide if I can trust this. Take all the time you need." He kissed my forehead. "I'll be here. We'll be here. Waiting. Think the pack will just accept her back? Think the exiled warriors will go quietly? Think the council members who voted her out will simply step down? Wait until you see what happens when the pack learns the truth. Wait until you discover who orchestrated her exile. And why. Stay with me. The real battle is just beginning." Chapter 3. The Trial. They held the gathering 3 days later. Every member of the Shadowpine pack, every warrior, every hunter, every wolf of rank and status. I stood on the platform beside Alpha Tobias, wearing clean clothes, wounds bandaged, still weak, still broken in places that would take weeks to fully heal. But standing. Matthias stood on my other side. He'd barely left my presence since I'd woken. Kept asking if I was okay, if I'd stay, if I'd really be his mama. I hadn't answered yet. Members of Shadowpine Pack. Tobias's voice carried across the assembled wolves. We are gathered here to address a grievous injustice, and to honor the wolf who exposed our deepest shame. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. 6 months ago, this pack voted to exile Omega Kira Ashbourne. The charge was weakness. The claim was that she could not contribute to our strength, that she was a liability we could not afford. He turned to me. I voted for her exile. I signed the decree. I sent her into winter with nothing, and I was wrong. The crowd went silent. 3 days ago, a rogue pack attacked my son. 5 rogues, professional killers. They had him cornered. They would have killed him. He gestured to the 5 warriors standing in chains at the base of the platform. These are the guards who were assigned to protect the heir. These are the warriors who heard the attack begin, who grabbed Matthias and ran, who left him behind when he went back for a toy, who lied about the rogue numbers to make sure no reinforcements would come. The crowd erupted. They left him? Someone shouted. 5 warriors against 5 rogues, and they ran? The heir could have died. How could they just leave him? Silence. Tobias's alpha command cut through the noise like a blade. Every wolf went still. Yes, they ran. They heard the attack. They had the prince in their care. And when he slipped away, when he went back for his mother's carved wolf, they didn't follow. They assessed the threat. They counted rogues. They made calculations. They prioritized their own survival over their sworn duty. He paused. Let that sink in. And then they lied. Told everyone there were 15, maybe 20 rogues. Massive threat. Too dangerous to engage. Made sure no one would come help. Made sure no one would witness their cowardice. A female voice from the crowd. But they were going to circle back, weren't they? Yous get reinforcements. Were they? Tobias's voice was cold. Or were they going to wait long enough that the rogues would finish their work and leave? Long enough that they could blame the rogues for the prince's death instead of their own failure? Gasps rippled through the assembled wolves. Your Majesty, that's... One of the elders stood. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth. Tobias gestured to the chained warriors. They've confessed. Under oath. Under truth serum. They abandoned the heir to save themselves. They exaggerated the threat to cover their cowardice. They would have let my son die rather than risk their own lives. He turned to face the crowd fully. And this Omega, this wolf we exiled for weakness, heard a cub screaming and ran toward danger. Didn't assess the threat. Didn't count enemies. Didn't calculate survival odds. Fought 5 rogues alone. Held them off until I arrived. Took wounds that should have killed her. Saved my son's life. He took my hand again. The touch sent warmth through my entire body. The mate bond pulsing, demanding recognition. She's my mate, my fated pair, chosen by the moon goddess herself. And she's the reason the Shadowpine bloodline continues. The reason my son is alive. The reason we still have a future. I felt every eye in the clearing on me, measuring, judging, wondering. Some faces showed shame, others showed disbelief. A few showed what looked like anger, at the warriors who'd failed, at themselves for voting me out, at the situation that had revealed their values so starkly. Tobias turned back to the crowd. So here's what's going to happen. Those 5 warriors? Exiled. Immediately. Same terms we gave Kira. 1 hour to leave Pack territory. kill on sight if they return. The guards fell to their knees, their pleas overlapping. Your Majesty, please, we made a mistake. We were going to circle back, we swear. We have families, children. You can't... We made a tactical decision. You made a coward's choice. Tobias's voice was ice, cold, final. And Kira proved that courage doesn't require size or rank or combat training. It requires heart. It requires the willingness to put others before yourself. It requires being brave when it would be easier to run. He looked at each fallen warrior. You had all the training, all the advantages, all the weapons and backup and support. And you ran. She had nothing. She was alone. She was still recovering from 6 months of exile. And she fought. That's the difference between a coward and a hero, which you lack. He gestured to the guards posted around the platform. Remove them. The exiled warriors were dragged away. As for the council members who voted for Kira's exile, Tobias looked at the assembled elders. You're removed from your positions, effective immediately. We'll hold new elections, and I'll be very involved in ensuring we choose wolves who value the right things. One of the elders stood. Your Majesty, you cannot simply overturn pack tradition. I can. I did. If you have a problem with it, you're welcome to challenge me for alpha position. Tobias's eyes were cold. Any takers? Silence. Good. Then let me make one more thing absolutely clear. He pulled me closer. Kira Ashbourne is no longer exiled. She's reinstated with full pack rights. She's recognized as my mate, my Luna, and the mother of my heir. Matthias grabbed my hand and beamed. And if anyone treats her with anything less than the respect she deserves, they'll answer to me. He turned to me. Kira, I can't undo the past. I can't take back the exile, or the pain, or the 6 months you spent alone. But I can offer you this. A place in this pack. A position as Luna. A family who needs you. A mate who... His voice caught. A mate who loves you. Who sees you. Who will spend the rest of his life proving you were never weak. You were always strong. We were just too blind to see it. The crowd was silent, waiting for my answer. I looked at Tobias, at this alpha who'd exiled me, and now stood before his entire pack asking me to forgive him. I looked at Matthias, at the cub who'd claimed me as his mother before I'd even agreed to stay. I looked at the pack, at the wolves who'd voted me out, who'd called me worthless, who'd left me to die. Some looked ashamed, some looked defiant, some looked uncertain. But they were all watching, all waiting to see if I'd accept or walk away. I thought about the 6 months in unclaimed territory, the cold, the hunger, the loneliness so deep it felt like drowning. I thought about the moment I'd heard Matthias scream, the choice to run toward danger instead of away, the certainty that protecting a cub mattered more than my own life. I thought about the mate bond, the pull toward Tobias that I'd been fighting since I woke up, and I thought about what I really wanted. Not revenge, not vindication, just home. I'll stay, I said quietly. The crowd erupted in cheers. Tobias pulled me into his arms. Thank you. Thank you. I'll make this right. I swear I'll... One condition, I interrupted. He pulled back. Anything. No more exiles for weakness. No more throwing out wolves because they don't fit the warrior mold. No more treating omegas like liabilities. I met his eyes. We build a pack that values all contributions. That protects all members. That doesn't abandon people for being different. Done. He smiled. I'll write it into pack law tomorrow. And one more thing. Anything. I want to train the cubs. Teach them that strength isn't just about fighting. That courage comes in different forms. That protecting someone weaker than you matters more than defeating someone stronger. Tobias's eyes were bright. You'll be perfect at it. Matthias tugged on my hand. Does this mean you'll stay? You'll really be my mama? I knelt down, pulled him into a hug. Yes, I said. I'll stay. I'll be your mama. I'll be your papa's mate. I'll be part of this pack. He hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. I love you, he whispered. I love you too, little one. Tobias knelt beside us, wrapped both of us in his arms. The pack cheered. Some wolves shifted and howled. Others started the traditional welcoming songs. I closed my eyes and let it wash over me. 6 months ago, they'd thrown me out. Today, they were welcoming me home. Not as the weak Omega they'd rejected. As the Luna who'd proven that the fiercest hearts often lived in the smallest wolves. Epilogue. 6 months later, the snow was falling again. I stood at the window of the Luna's chambers and watched fat flakes drift past glass. This time last year I'd been exiled, alone, dying slowly in unclaimed territory. Now I was Luna, mate to the Alpha, mother to the heir, teacher to a classroom full of cubs who were learning that bravery came in different packages. What are you thinking about? Tobias wrapped his arms around me from behind, rested his chin on my shoulder. How much has changed? I said quietly. Regrets? No. I leaned into him. How could I regret this? Through the window, I could see Matthias playing in the snow with the other cubs, learning to track, learning to hunt, but also learning to protect, learning to value every member of the pack. He's got your heart, Tobias said, always protecting the smaller cubs, always making sure everyone's included. He's got your strength too, and your stubbornness. Moon help us all. He laughed, turned me to face him. Kira, I know I say this every day, but thank you for staying, for giving us a chance, for being brave when it mattered most. Thank you for seeing me. Finally. I'll spend my whole life making up for the time I didn't. He kissed me, slow and deep and full of promise. When we broke apart, I rested my forehead against his. The healers confirmed it this morning, I said quietly. Confirmed what? I'm pregnant. Tobias went absolutely still. We're having a cub, due in spring. His eyes filled with tears. A cub. Our cub. Matthias is going to be a big brother. He's going to be insufferable about it, I smiled. He's already very proud of being my son. This will make it worse. I don't care. Tobias laughed, picked me up and spun me around. We're having a cub. You're having a cub. My mate. My Luna. The wolf who saved my son is giving me another child. He set me down gently, pressed his hand to my stomach. I love you, he said. I should say it more. I love you, for being strong when we were weak, for being brave when we were cowards, for being everything I never knew I needed. I love you too. I covered his hand with mine, for seeing past the exile, for giving me a home, for letting me be part of this family. Outside, Matthias whooped with joy as he tackled another cub into a snowdrift. Inside, I stood with my mate and felt our future growing beneath my heart. The banished Omega. The rejected wolf. The one they'd called too weak to survive. I'd survived. Thrived. Become exactly what this pack needed. Not despite my differences. Because of them. And I'd teach my cubs, both Matthias and the one coming, that lesson. That strength came in many forms. That courage meant standing your ground even when everyone else ran. That the fiercest hearts often beat in the chests of those the world underestimated. And that sometimes the wolves everyone discarded turned out to be the ones holding the pack together. Tobias pulled me close. Come on, he said. Let's go tell Matthias he's going to be a big brother. We walked outside together, into the snow, into the cold, into the life I'd earned with blood and sacrifice, and refusing to give up. The pack I'd saved, The family I'd fought for. The home I'd finally found.